Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for the more survivalists, and yes, not clickbait. 20 years, 3 kids later, this is what I have to share with you. And yeah, this is a process because this is starting with a baby and making a grown-ass man like the one that I have upstairs working from home right now. How that turned out, what did I do to get things right? That's what I'll share with you in this video, which is it's something that a lot of people don't actually achieve. A lot of people struggle with this a lot. And yeah, you do have to work. It's not easy. Now, one of the things that I don't do much, I don't do at all in my channel is show my family. I don't show my kids. I don't show my wife. Now, I would have a much bigger channel if I have done that. My wife, my kids, very good looking, and the kind of thing that I know for a fact if you exploit that and you monetize that, you end up with a big old multi-million channel. But I'm not interested in doing that. I don't have the need to do that. I don't want to expose my family like that. I do want to share with you I do want to share with you though what I did right. And it's probably one of the things I'm most proud of in my life, and yet one of the things I don't talk about here on the channel, and yet one of the most important things that you want to address in terms of survival. I have little pictures here of homesteading, right? Homesteading is fantastic. The idea of strategically picking a location and construction, buildings, and food production. Now, the core of all of that is your family. And I know that some people watching the channel are single, they don't have a family. That's all okay. But a lot of this is about your family. A lot of people that prepare, they don't even prepare for themselves. They prepare for their family. So having a healthy, strong family is crucial. I mean, for life in general. Are your kids happy? Are they doing well? Are you doing yourself well in your family? I'm the luckiest guy on the planet. I don't share that with you because I appreciate that so much. But that's the way it is. There's nothing that I'm more proud of than that. So even though I don't want to compromise that in any way, shape, or form, I do want to share with you the things that I've done right that allowed me to reach this point. That I have a young man as a son, that youngest engineer hired by a multinational company in all of Europe. They were telling him this the other day. You're the youngest guy to ever, by a long shot, the youngest guy in this position that we ever had. 20 years old, working on getting his engineering, software engineering degree, which completely free of debt, not a cent. I'm paying for that myself. Yeah, all of $80 a month is what it's costing me, mostly because I don't live in a place where how much I pay or not depends on the color of your skin rather than the outcome of the grades you're getting. So the better you do, the less you pay, which is and this is because it's a public university. And people here, they want to get into the public university because it's the one that it's the most prestigious one. It's the one that people that get good grades in school are actually allowed to go to. If not, you have to go to the expensive private university that is not as prestigious, because that's where people that don't do so well in school, in high school, end up. So there's a competition. Basically, the better grades you get, the most likely you are to get into university for certain fields. So, for example, the medical field is one of the most prized ones, and it has some of the highest degrees, some of the better grades you need so as to get into the public universities to study medicine. You become a doctor pretty much for free. So yeah, that's how you achieve that. Now, I think it was last year the one that had the highest grade requirements was computer engineering. It is a field that, they are overwhelmed. They don't manage to get enough people. My son's boss, he's not only working from home, he gets a lot of free time all day, all the time. He's just, his boss tells him, you get whatever days you need, don't worry. His boss himself tells him, you do in a week the work that my other engineers need 4 weeks to do. So whatever you want, just don't worry. And that is a very privileged position to really be in. But that was not all accidental. That's because of course, his own effort and his own merit, but also because of the way in which you were brought up. That has a big influence in how much confidence you have, how healthy you are physically, mentally, how well you do in life. So my oldest son, he's doing very well in work and study and degrees related, but he's doing very well as a healthy, good person as well. Super fit. And not only good physically, good mentality as well. A happy young man. How did all that happen? Well, because of the work we did as a family, my wife and I. So I'll just share 3 points with you guys. I don't want to make the video super long because I could talk all day about the different aspects of all of this. It's not easy. Maybe one of the point zero would be, no, being a good parent is not easy. No, it's not for everyone. No, a lot of people fail. A lot of famous, successful people fail at being good parents. I was actually reading up on that. It turns out that if you're a super successful person, you're probably a person that is very selfish in the way you spend your time, and you're dedicated in being successful in whatever it is you do. That's why you have people like Elon Musk that has a transgender daughter. And you have. And just one example of it, you have most of these very successful, very wealthy people that make lots of sacrifices in other areas so as to be successful in those. They don't have kids that are nearly happy or good at in life. They just don't manage to do that because it's not easy, and it involves a lot of spending time with them. And that's what a lot of people are not willing to do. In our case, we were. My wife, she's a lawyer, but we made the decision. Yeah, even though you have the degree, you could wear the nice little suit and go make a bunch of money. We honestly don't need it. And we talked about it and make the decision. Yeah, I'm going to stay-at-home mom. And I'm mostly a stay-at-home guy myself. I'm lucky in that regard. But because of that, we've been there so much more time than the average family. And the results of that show. It's not accidental. So it's not just that they have a 20-year-old, they have another kid that's somewhat in the teenager, and they have a 4-year-old as well, right? So I can tell you from all the spectrum, from start to finish. Let me get to 3 points. I just want to summarize this in 3 points. Number one, you can't love your kids too much. This is something that I borrow from a guy, I don't even remember his name, but in an interview in Joe Rogan was saying, oh, but you don't want to spoil your kids and make them sissies, and the guy stopped him in his track. I don't know if he was a psychologist or social guy, or I don't know the guy, but he said something that I know is true. He said, no, Joe, no, you cannot love your kids too much. This idea that if you love them too much, that's wrong. That's not it. Loving your kids too much is not a thing, especially when you're talking about little children. When you're talking about babies specifically, the idea, let him cry so he becomes tough. No, it's actually the opposite. The more you let a little baby cry needlessly, the more likely he's going to be weak emotionally, more fearful, because he's realizing that he's not having the support that he needs. Look, a baby will cry for basically 3 reasons. A baby cries when he's hungry, and you should be breastfeeding the kid as a mom, right? Yes, breastfeeding. It's something that a lot of people don't do, and it's one of the most damaging things you can do to a baby. A baby is supposed to be breastfed. It's not about only the nutritional importance. It's about the physical exercise that a child does when breastfeeding and working for it and sweating. They start sweating. A bottle, that's easy for you. That's easy for mom and dad. Just stick the bottle in his mouth, and that's it. Yeah, that's not good for a kid, though. Even our dentist said, he has my teenage son recently in a visit to the dentist. We don't see that kind of of mouth anymore. How it evolved and grew in a certain way. And I was reading about the mouth of a kid that has been breastfed is stronger and better formed than the mouth of a baby that was not breastfed and just had a stupid bottle with crap from some pharma, evil corporation just stuck in his face. So a baby should be fed, number one, right? babies that cry maybe need a new diaper. You need to change the baby because he's dirty and he's uncomfortable. And besides that, a baby may be just crying because he wants to be held. He wants to have human contact, interaction. He wants to be, picked up. And that's where some of the conservative, right-wing folk that we mostly have in our community, that's how you make them weak. No, that is stupid. That is dumbass psychology. The idea that you're making a baby weak just because you pick him up when he cried. No. If you can, because sometimes there's not an opportunity for that. If you're not a single mom, maybe the case, but if you're a stay-at-home mom, and even if there's people around, but if at that moment you cannot pick up the child when he starts crying, sure, a moment that he's not getting immediate attention, but the baby wants immediate attention all the time. Because the more attention he gets, he cannot get enough of it. The more attention he gets, the more eye-and-eye contact, the more skin contact he gets from the moment he's born, the healthier he will be, the less likely he will have other medical complications. A huge spectrum from autism to God knows what. It's because of those first experiences as a human being, right? So, no, you cannot love your kid too much. It's only going to be making him stronger, more courageous as he grows up. A kid that is, made used to accepting that he's not getting attention as a baby, he's not protected, he's not cared for, he's going to be more fearful. A baby that is brought the way I'm explaining, he will be the bravest kid in his class. He will go do things that our kids are afraid to do. That's what you want in a little kid. Now, this of course changes the moment where their brain evolves to the point where he tries manipulating people, or that's a thing that kids do as well. Now, I'll tell you also this: if you're a good parent and you do a good job, there's a very little chance that you'll have much of a problem with that. As soon as you can tell, but I want this toy. If not, I'll start crying. Okay, cry all you want. You're not getting anything. That didn't work, did it? No, it didn't. Okay, he won't even try it if you did a good job. Now, of course, no one is perfect. So you may have a child that throws a fit. I've had that. It happens. But if you manage it correctly, it won't be an issue. You may be seeing that once or twice. It does not fly. Now, my teenage son, I guess we did a better job with him. That's a kid that he never threw a fit in his entire life. Not once, never. Because you learn how to do things better. And I guess we manage all of that aspect in a better way, and we didn't even have one single fit. Maybe my oldest son had once or twice. No, but I want this. Oh, yeah, but no, and that was it. Now, there's people that they cannot even manage their kid. They lose their minds themselves when they see a kid that is throwing a fit, crying like a lunatic and making a scene in public, like, just showing how much of a fucking awful parent you are, basically. And there's people that struggle a lot with that. Now, that is not loving your kids. Buying your kids crap is actually kind of the opposite. Every once in a while, some little gesture or something that makes, an impression. Yes, but buying stuff is not loving your kids. I'm talking about investing times. Part of loving your kids is not hurting your kids. And this is something that a lot of people do. In your society, in my society, in our society, we do it all the time. Very Latin thing. If you have a girl, the first thing you do, it's a girl, she was just born. Okay, we'll get her a couple piercings. The first thing we'll do, like when a ring in the nose, the first thing you're born, okay, we'll do that. No, traditionally, earrings. The first thing in Latin America that most people used to do and still do till this day, if it's a girl, we get a couple earrings for the girl. Why? So that people know she's a girl. That's a stupid mindset. And one of the idiotic things that you hear is, it's really not going to be hurting. Really, motherfucker, get yourself your ears pierced and let me know if that hurts or not. Right now, stick a needle through your ear and let me know if that hurts. Of course it hurts. It hurts like hell. And for a baby that his entire life so far, his experience was literally floating in magical mommy liquid inside her warm body and never even having the contact of a rough surface in his life, not even cotton, just floating in liquid inside a womb. That's been his life experience so far. Can we agree that he's alive already, right? We're not some of these woke, insane lunatics that think that life only begins when he leaves the body of the mother, right? The child is alive and having experiences from the moment he is, from the moment of conception, all of this process starts. So the kid has lived 9 months inside a womb without having any awful experience. Nothing. You know why babies don't cry inside the womb? Because they don't need anything. They don't even have diapers. All of that is being taken care of. They're being fed, and they're floating inside mommy. That's why they're not crying inside. They cry when they are outside because they're uncomfortable and cold and life sucks right now. Because what the fuck is going on? I want to go back inside where I'm floating in my little bubble right there, away from everything. That's why you start crying. And it is uncomfortable and it's terrible and it sucks. Now, if besides that, which already it's pretty traumatic itself, the moment you're being born, besides that, you go and stick a needle in those ears, you're causing a kind of damage that we're not fully aware of yet about the consequences it has. We know that it leaves a mark on their brain. It leaves a permanent mark in their psyche, in their minds, in the way in which they're going to be developing later as human beings from the moment you do that. Because the first experience you cause is an immense amount of pain for the first experience that they have in life. And for boys, don't even get me started on that. In the United States, the idea of circumcising a child is insanity. Why? Oh, because we have to fix them. No, you don't have to fix anything. The kid is perfectly fine. Oh, no, but he has to clean himself. Yeah, people have been cleaning their own dicks for thousands and hundreds of thousands of years. It's not even a thing in the West. It's something exclusively American. And the idea that this is a medical requirement, the only lunatic that tries to justify this from a medical standpoint is Bill Gates. So your supporter and on a medical excuse for circumcision is motherfucking Bill Gates, who tried to do this in Africa and claims that circumcision reduces AIDS by 50%, which anyone that is not insane agrees is completely outrageous. Check with your doctor if that could possibly be true. Of course it's not. Yeah, don't even get me started on Bill Gates and his little medical device that he financed with his charity, making millions and millions for himself. But anyway, you just don't hurt your kids. Just care for your kids. Don't hurt them. Love them all the time. That's gonna be the best thing you can do. Point number 2, making your kids tough. Now, making a kid tough is not about cutting off their dicks or part of it or putting piercings on them if they're little girls. That's not going to be making them tough. It's going to be making them weaker and crippled emotionally because you've been hurting them when you're in fact the person that you should be caring for them the most, and that's not what you're doing. But making a kid tough is about other things. Love them. You cannot love them enough as babies, as little children, as they grow up. But as they grow up and start developing, the idea of overprotecting them from the world, that's not what you want to do. About making your kids tough is, lead by example yourself. Don't be a little bitch yourself all the time. If you're a man and a woman that has certain integrity, that handles things properly, that's not throwing a fit or being hysteric all the time over idiotic things, little details that make you go drink or smoke, chain smoke, or you need medication all the time so as to stay calm. Yeah, that's the kind of bad example that you want to give your kids. As they keep on getting older, they will look at you to, how should I react? That dog, should I pet the dog? No. The idea, no, don't pet the dog, honey, because it could bite your hand off. It's a damn little poodle. Yeah, sure, be careful, but yeah, you go pat the dog, it's probably gonna be okay. I'm thinking right now of, if you go hiking with your kids, and this is something I actually did. So we went, for a little day hike. You don't have to go into grand adventures, but little day hike, right? Just a few hours. So we were walking in the trail, and all of a sudden I tell them, I'm with two of my kids. Hey, we're going to be going, off road here, off trail, and through these bushes, so as to make a little shortcut, right? Make a little shortcut through these bushes. And it was a fucking awful place. It was full of thorns. It was stupid to do that, but I had a point to make. There was a little life lesson that I want them to learn. So just a few, a few dozen yards or so, but just cutting the little shortcut through a pretty awful place. That was no point in doing it. But I said, hey, let's go. And of course, my kids follow me. And of course, we all ended up with scratches and little thorns. And my teenage son, he was a little bit younger then, he said, Dad, look, I have thorns and this hurts. And I looked at him, it's just a little bit of pain. You'll be fine. You have a thorn there. Okay, you have your Victorinox knife, the knife I gave you, the knife I know you have in your pocket, the knife I know has tweezers. Okay, take off the splinter with the tweezers. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that worked, right? Yeah, it hurts a little, right? Yes, it does, but it's not a big deal. You don't have a broken arm or leg, right? No. Okay, so it's just a little bit of pain. It's just a little bit of pain. You'll be fine. You'll be okay. Oh, I have a lot of homework? Okay, yeah. Do you have an impairment of some kind? You cannot do your homework? You're lucky enough to be, born healthy and with an way above average IQ? Okay, homework should not be a problem for you. You should just go do it. Oh, I have a lot of it. Yeah, good, great. I'm happy that you do have a lot of it. So that's going to be keeping you entertained. Making them tough in terms of all of these little details is crucial. If you don't lead by example, if you don't teach them these things, they will grow up to be the thing that Joe Rogan thinks will make your kid a pussy, which is, loving them too much. No, it's not loving them too much. It's these things that I'm explaining. Showing them how to be a man, showing them how to be a woman, and having these conversations is how they learn to be tough. A little bit of physical uncomfort, that's not a big deal. So you fall in the trail, you fall when walking in the park or in the street. Okay, how is it you react? Do you lose your mind and start, we have to get an ambulance? Oh, no, it's just a small bruise. You're okay. My youngest one, he fell. During the middle of COVID, when everything was hell, he fell down the stairs and actually cut himself pretty bad. It was a bad cut. And I actually had to glue that myself, and it still has a scar there. But yeah, we fix this. We deal with it. But we don't start losing our minds over things we can control to a great extent still. The idea of getting them involved in sports, that's huge. And it's usually not easy because you have to find the time. You have to find, it's not easy, especially if you're working all day because you want to put money and food on the table and money in the pockets and in the account for the holidays and the nice stuff. And that's all great. But at the expense of not, being there for your kids, you may want to consider that. So in terms of getting them involved in sports, that's crucial as well. Kids need to do physical activities. The idea that, I just bought my teenager a gun, so now he's a man, and every once in a while we go shoot a deer. Okay, that's fantastic. Is that all you do? Once a year you go and shoot a deer and you maybe hold his hand and press the trigger, or you go to one of these places where you're shooting like a target because there's damn deer is eating out of a feed. And well, yeah, that is, you can make that into a lesson, but is that all you do? Then you're not much of a good parent. Now, many of the shootings we've seen lately involve some crappy father or mother that thought that just because you give a gun to a kid, that's going to be turning him into a man. That is not it. Doesn't happen with adults. Definitely doesn't happen with children and kids. So the aspect of getting involved in sports and, having a certain bar in your house, like, we don't put up with shit, If you have homework, you have to do it. You have to get enough grades. And these days, this is not easy because, the no child left behind policy doesn't help. Fortunately, we live in a place that, in spite of all its, pros and cons, one of the pros is they have a very leaving kids behind policy. And if you don't get good enough grades, you're held back a year. That happens very often, and kids are kind of scared of having that happen to them. So you have to get good enough grades. That's we don't expect great results all the time. It's not all straight A's all the time, but you have to do okay in school. You are not allowed to have crappy grades and be at risk of being left behind a damn year. That's not something you should do, because there's no reason for that. The minimal amount of effort to getting good enough grades for school, that's one of the bars, one of the basic requirements. In terms of sports and having some activity that involves certain discomfort, my oldest one played rugby when he had the chance of doing that. I think it's kind of debatable, because it's one of those sports, especially with kids, it's a full contact sport, and it does lead to brain damage. So how much you do that or not, it's going to be entirely up to you. But for example, in terms of martial arts, my oldest one is doing jiu-jitsu, which is fantastic. Jiu-jitsu is a sport where you are learning something that can be useful for self-defense. It's also something very physical, and you stay in shape by doing that. Jiu-jitsu, great for children. My teenager, he's actually doing judo, which I think it's even better. Judo is fantastic because it has a little bit more of the traditional martial art thing of the sensei and respect for your teacher and order and organizing things, and certain aspects of martial arts are very, very beneficial, especially for younger children. But especially with judo, that's a sport I encourage if you have a son, a daughter, judo is one of the best things you can do for them. And it's going to be giving him a huge valuable life lesson. It's going to be very beneficial in terms of knowing how to defend yourself. The ability of just picking someone and slamming him into the ground, that is great for self-defense. It's actually, in many aspects, even better than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where it's maybe a little bit more of being in the ground already. So just throwing people in the ground and avoiding from being thrown, that is great. So yeah, a martial art I definitely recommend. Judo for children all day long. He's also doing swimming a couple times a week. So 3 times a week judo, 2 times a week swimming. And a kid needs to know how to swim. The better he swims, and of course all of the physical and psychological benefits of doing physical activities every single day. That's huge. It's gonna be making your kids into much better people, healthier, better in their lives. It will have, and that's the part of being tougher mentally, physically, psychologically speaking. It's a matter of raising your kids right? I don't want to make the video super long. Number 3, about educating your kids. So I was talking before about having these conversations. You have to be the one teaching your kids. You're the one that it's going to be educating your kids and forming them in terms of what person they will become tomorrow. You cannot just drop a kid in a public school. You cannot just drop a kid in a private school. It will not work as good as you think it will. No matter how good the school is, you are the one responsible. You are the one that has to be there. And this is the toughest part. This is the thing that people struggle with the most. This is why super successful people in their fields many times do an awful, terrible job as a parent. And man, that kind of sucks if you think about it. You're super successful, you're super wealthy, you're famous, you do very well for yourself, but that comes at the cost of you having a shitty family, you being a shitty father or a shitty mother, and your kids paying the consequence for that. That's why many times you see the children of some of these super successful people, famous, wealthy, and the kids are a mess. I mean, many times I suspect that they have off the chart suicide rates in their families compared to people that are more of the average middle class stay-at-home mom kind of situation. The stay-at-home mom mentality has been demonized, and it's not accidental. I think there's a pattern there. There's a design of destroying the family in its core. And the core of any house, especially at young age, that's going to be the mom, not the dad. the dad is a figure that has a different role. The mother is the one that had them in her womb for 9 freaking months. It's the parent that keeps them alive and keeps them from starving to death. So of course it's gonna be a different, stronger attachment with the mother and with the father. The father, though, if you're a present father, for example, my kids that sleeping with us between the two of us, the co-sleep thing that some people, oh no, you need to have a nursery room, and the baby needs to cry in that damn nursery room until he learns to be tough and learn that mom will not pick him up when he cries. All of that's insanity. Well, you're supposed to sleep like a damn animal, which is what you are, which is what naturally comes to you as a human being. So the baby sleeps there with you, and mom breastfeeds the kid in the middle of the night. It's the easiest thing to do. And you know what kids do? My 3 sons, you know what they do? So even when they're breastfeeding or just sleeping, they will do this, trying to get hold of you on the other side. So on one hand, this used to happen all the time. So my son is breastfeeding, and he does this. He touches my face and he touches my beard. And when he feels the beard, he calms down. So a fully, a kid being brought up, a baby being raised to his maximum capabilities will do that. Closest thing to perfection would be for him to be just right there with mom, sucking on a breast, feeding himself, warm and happy. And then with his hands, he does this. And he touches your face. And he feels that you're there. He feels the beard and he calms down. That's okay. So I'm being fed. I'm nice and comfy. And I have the monkey, the gorilla, that's going to be shooting or killing whatever gets close to me. So I'm happy. If I'm staying late at night, he would wake up. He feels the side of the bed, and you're not there. Well, the hairy dude is not here. He should be here. He should be here for protecting us from dinosaurs and crocodiles and monsters. This is instinctive stuff, and we just don't know the full extent of the repercussions of all of this. Psychologists still cannot explain how good or bad it turns out when you're not doing all of this stuff. But I can tell you right now, that's what babies do. Babies that are breastfeeding, they will try to see if there's the father right next to them. Most natural thing in the world. It is so sad that so many kids won't have that experience. Maybe they have 2 mommies. Maybe they have just 1 mom. Maybe they have 2 daddies, which, that's gonna be awful. I cannot even imagine the kind of damage that does. But, very least, having a mother there, yeah, sure. But ideally, they will have both. They will have the mother, the feminine figure, the comfort, the breast, the warmth, the softness. They will have also the father, the one that's protecting them from whatever danger is out there. That's what they've, their DNA is telling them. This is what basic little animals do, at least for primates. That's the kind of thing that they crave and they want. That's how you raise kids, guys. It's being there. It's about caring for them. It's about teaching them valuable lessons. And it's about making a personal sacrifice that a lot of people are not willing to do. A lot of people are not willing to invest that amount of time. Oh, they have to go work. Sometimes it's true. Sometimes you have to make huge sacrifices just so as to put food on the table. It's also the case that sometimes it's about, I really like my job, and my job is awesome, and staying here with babies, vomit and little, shitty diapers, it's not that much fun. That's a personal decision. I mean, I've always loved the idea of being a father. Even when I was a little kid, I want to be a father. I want to have my own family, my wife and my kids. And I've been very happy and lucky in that regard, even if I don't share with you all the time. But I can tell you that after 20 years, I've been successful in doing that. And with my teenage son, it seems to be, one of the happiest, most appreciated kids in his classroom. Yeah, absolutely. Super happy kid, super adjusted to his environment and his friends and the people around him, and doing great as well. And with the little guy too, even though he's a handful at times, super happy with him. these are the lessons I have. These are the things I can share with you. And it's not all, but it's a foundation. From that, you build upon that. But if you do these things, I can tell you, you are likely to have very good results, just like the ones I've had so far. See you on our next one, guys. Take care.